Hello, everybody. I'm Kipp Snow, Director of the Transportation Distribution and Logistics Institute at the Community College of Baltimore County.
Hey everybody, Mike Singer, Community Manager, Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. Welcome to Two Guys Talking Ship podcast, episode number 53.
We have a real special one today. We'll get
We
into
do.
it in just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
How was your week? You had a party over the weekend, didn't you?
We did. Grandbaby number one, birthday number one.
Nice.
So yeah, it's crazy. It was 50 people here, and it was nuts, but it was a great time. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
I spent some time knocking out some of the honeydew lists that exist.
Attaboy.
Yeah, well, I try, but I've also I've been working on a little research project with my grandfather. He's
about your grandfather.
Yeah, about my grandfather.
Uh-huh.
He's I never met the man. He passed away in a boating accident in the early 60s. But there's I've come across through some, I guess, family archives and stuff that's been handed down to me of some letters that he had written to my great grandmother. So I've been kind of going through all of those, learning that he was part of the Air Transport Command in the Army Air Force in World War II, and had a couple of maritime connections. So it's been interesting to learn about some of that. Look at some of the, I guess you call them artifacts and things like that. But pretty interesting. So I've been nerding out a little bit this week.
Oh, that's cool. Learning about the fam, it's nice. Hey, so if you're new to the podcast or the channel on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be alerted to new podcasts or videos as they come available.
All right. Normally we talk about our shipping updates. We look at some metrics. We're gonna pause that actually because we are going to show you an interview that we had this week. I think is a pretty neat and interesting interview. I think you'll find. We had Jim Harkness on the podcast. So
MDTA's lead engineer, is that his correct title?
Correct.
Yeah,
I believe that's the correct title. And he introduces himself in the interview a little bit more. But
true. And I think there's might be a few nuggets and surprises in there for folks.
Yes. Yeah, so some really good and really neat information that he provided. You asked some questions, and he kind of really just took the helm and went with it. And
he did, didn't he?
Gave us a lot of information. So we're going to switch over to that interview now. So listen up, and you'll get a chance to meet Jim and hear about what's happening and what some of the processes up to this point with the demolition of the bridge, and what some of the next steps are. So let's go into that interview now.
Sounds good.
We have a special guest here today, and you can see I'm not in the normal studio today. This was a interview opportunity that came up. We wanted to really capitalize on this because I think the viewership is really going to, enjoy some information that's coming out of the current status of the Kipp Bridge rebuild. Today we have Jim Harkness with us, and Jim, thanks for coming on the podcast this episode with us. Can you give us just a little brief introduction and tell us who you are, or tell the viewers who you are?
Sure. Thanks, Kipp. Really appreciate the opportunity. Coming on this podcast and getting to talk about my favorite project, the Kipp Bridge rebuild. So my name's Jim Harkness.
Or at least it better be your favorite project.
That's right, yeah. So I am the chief engineer for the Maryland Transportation Authority. So the Kipp Bridge is one of our facilities, and so we're responsible for the maintenance and obviously for the rebuilding of the Kipp Bridge. So in my role as chief engineer, I have essentially 4 groups working with me in the Office of Engineering and Construction. We have a planning group that also has our sort of our real estate division underneath of that. We have our project development group, which leads large projects such as our I-95 express toll lanes projects, as well as our Key Bridge rebuild. Then we have our engineering group, and we also have a construction group. So a pretty broad, diverse team in the Office of Engineering and Construction. So we have a lot of responsibilities, as you can probably imagine. We do all the planning, permitting, clearing real estate. We do the budgeting for our capital projects, designing our contracts. Obviously, inspection for construction, and then it, even transitions into maintaining those projects and the assets for MDTA. And MDTA, we have 8 toll facilities sort of spaced throughout Maryland, from I-95 running northeast of the city of Baltimore, all the way to Cecil County and the Delaware line. And then we have projects as far as southern Maryland, US 301, the nice Middleton Bridge in Charles County. And then, of course, we have our facilities in and around Baltimore, and not to forget our Bay Bridge. So all told, we have 2 tunnels. We have 4 significant bridges. We have 2 turnpikes. That's ends up being a lot of lane miles. So over 700 lane miles that we're responsible for.
Wow.
And in order to maintain all that infrastructure, we have
4 people working with you. No,
a program, right? No, I mean we're not a very deep organization. So within our Office of Engineering and Construction, we're just around 80 state employees, and we're managing more than 125 projects, and those projects are totaling at this point over $5 billion for 6 years. So it's quite a load for our group, and we do a lot.
Not busy at all.
Of good things, right? Yeah. And so, other than Key Bridge, I don't know what else we're doing. No, we have a lot going on, and we have a very a great team. Not just in engineering and construction, but all of MDTA. From finance and all our other procurement groups and everything that kind of enable us to pull all these things together and keep serving the traveling public.
Awesome. So I really appreciate you seeing the blue polo memo and falling in line for us today. Appreciate that. As long as you realize you have hit the big time, right? You've done all your TV interviews, and now you're with Mike and Kipp in Mike's dining room in Kipp's office. All 303 subscribers, man. It doesn't get any better than this.
We've made it.
Exactly. So, man, what is it like for, I guess, you and Bruce? I see the two of you, on TV and doing interviews. And I mean, are you guys used to being kind of this out front, or this is mainly like a Key Bridge thing? And how different is it for you? And are you used to it yet? And
yeah, I think obviously, the scope and scale of this project really sets this apart from anything else, certainly that I've done in my career. Bruce has been in the spotlight, more than I have. He's been our executive director previously, and obviously as executive director of a large agency in Maryland, he's going to have some time in front of the media for different events. Myself as an engineer, I'm usually the guy off to the side. I may get to attend the ribbon cuttings or something, but usually don't participate that much. But during the recovery, being able to serve on the Unified Command alongside, a former guest of yours, Colonel Pinchason, and a former captain of the port, Captain O'Connell, that just sort of put me out there a little bit more than I was used to. But it's a pleasure to sort of be a representation for not only MDTA but also the Maryland Department of Transportation. We don't take lightly, this task that we had put before us, and so we're embracing that, and it's just a chance to showcase. For a larger audience, the great work that the folks at MDTA, do day in and day out. It's just
Right.
under a different spotlight now.
Yeah, that's an incredible segue, because I'd love to leave this for the end, but I'd love to get in some details, and I just feel like I have to ask this question. Like it's once in a lifetime chance to like set like shipping and bridge standards and set the skyline and the framing of your city for the next 100 years. I mean, has that has that like settled in? Are you like super excited? Like, how are you handling that? It just seems like such an incredible opportunity that of course, aside from the horribly tragic event, that you would have an opportunity to do. And wow, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think the enormity of that event, the tragedy, once we were able to sort of start really working that, and getting that, cleared up and under control last year, that really started to shift our mindset from, just how do we deal with, the immediacy of this tragedy, and the enormity of that effort to clear that channel in so short order.
That was amazing.
And being able to, just work that problem, build that big team, get that unity together, have that, singular focus on getting those priorities, knocked off, and, working through the governor's priorities. And so he set those four. We ticked those first three off, and then now, the fourth one, rebuilding the Key Bridge, falls to MDTA and Federal Highway, and we're just, doing our best to, work that as quickly and as effectively as possible. So last year, transitioning from the emergency contract into, the new contract for the progressive design build, trying to get a team on board, working with Federal Highway on getting planning cleared. It really did at that point start to sink in on what we were, undertaking here. And then when we started running through some concepts, and, obviously the governor was able to unveil, the new design in February of this year, and just the stats on the size of this structure, it really does sink in. This is an enormous project. This is going to be one of the largest cable stayed bridges in North America. So we're up there on the size, and the complexity of this project may be, unmatched. So it's a very, very difficult project. But obviously we embrace that challenge. We're honored to be a part of, the effort to rebuild this. And as I like the way you put it, kind of framing, the skyline, the gateway to Baltimore, for the next 100 years. And so that's an immense privilege, and we don't take that lightly. And we recognize, the importance of this project for not only the state, but regionally, nationally. Obviously, that it is a key transportation facility for the port, right? And the port has a huge impact, $100 billion, I think, to the national economy each year. Thousands of direct jobs, tens of thousands of indirect jobs. So, it's a huge project for not only MDTA, but our, sister agency, the port, as well as, Marylanders, and just, our nation. We were happy to have a great team. We selected a national contractor. We had great folks working as our owners' representatives on the projects for both design and our construction inspection partners. Not to mention our federal partners at Federal Highway. We're working with the Coast Guard, Army Corps, working on getting our permits. So we've pulled people in. Regional expertise, national expertise, and international expertise. So we've pulled resources from all over the place. Any given week on this project, since we started, last September, we have upwards of 150 engineers working this project on any given week. And so from top to bottom, our team just embraces and understands the magnitude of the challenge and the impact of what we are accomplishing here. So, we know that this project has the industry's attention, the community's attention here, but also abroad. We hear from folks from all around the world about what's going on with this project. And
don't forget the impatient yahoos commenting on Facebook.
Yeah, we do have that, and so we get it. We want to, we want to move fast too. Yeah, and
right.
And when if you're not familiar with a project of this type, we are moving very fast, and so that's some of the complication is just getting people to understand that the way this project is going. Normally when folks, the public is engaged on an infrastructure project, it's sort of at the point where it's really been developed and it's ready to go to construction. Well, we didn't have that chance. We didn't have planning for this. We didn't have anything. We weren't ready to do a project of this magnitude. So we had to sort of do all of those things in parallel, in tandem, and at the same as fast as we could. So we've progressed pretty far. I think you've seen some of the things that we've been doing. We were able to get the bridge concept, so the bridge type revealed. We have pre-construction services. We've been doing a lot of things out in the field. We've recently started demo. We're advancing, our design.
We're watching on the camera, Jim.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got an eye on us, and I remind folks we've got people out there watching us. So we are advancing that as fast as we can, and then our design. We've already passed 50% of the design on this structure, and we're working towards a 70% mark by the end of the year. Okay,
that's another great segue. I mean, you skipped over a couple of puns in there. You said the key, and then earlier it was what was the other? All told, and I was like, okay, just let those go, Mike. Don't interrupt them right in the middle.
Yeah, I find myself on that key one a lot.
Yeah. So talk to me about that 50%, and can you shed any light on, and maybe, I don't know, maybe just 5 bullet points or something, whatever you're comfortable with, or whatever's possible. Like, what does it take to get to the 70? What if any details can you share with us are left to work out? Are they like mostly below the water line? Is it due to that recent realignment? And I'd love to talk to you about some details of that, but just for now, like the 50 to 70%, kind of maybe some quick points about what might be left, or just to give folks some details, because people are, well, they're impatient, and then they're curious, and then I'm trying to, I'm out there commenting, and I give them like 3 or 4 paragraphs of just the stuff that little Mike knows. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is just the stuff that I know. I mean, I'm not an engineer on the project, And then they go, oh, I didn't know about all that. Oh, okay, I think I understand now. But, so I'm just trying to help that out, so like from 50 to 70, like what might be left or in there? Or...
Yeah, okay. I think I'll do my best to sort of explain, our design process, right, for a large, significant project like this. But we're in this progressive design build delivery model. So you like to work things, sort of as much as you can overlapping. So you develop to a point where you can get some things going, and then you're developing other pieces into more detail. But those are not the first things you need to get out of the way. So with us, we going back, we didn't have any planning, so we needed to do some planning work in terms of establishing alignment. So on any large project, such as our Bay Crossing study, you're going to have multiple alignments, right? And so you're going to look at the benefits and also the challenges with any alignment. So we set forward on this project with, kind of the idea that we would be able to stay in the existing alignment, because again, on another typical project, you're going to maintain your existing bridge while you build adjacent to it so that you can maintain traffic. So that's our newest bridge is down the nice Middleton Bridge down in Southern Maryland. So we rebuilt a bridge from 1940, and we opened that in 2022. So we were able to maintain traffic while we built next to it. So you have a different alignment. With this case, we had a bridge that was taken out of service. We thought we would be able to, maybe economize by staying in the same alignment. But at the same time, we're exploring, does it make sense to go to one side, or maybe, the west side or the east side? And the west side, there's large BGE transmission lines. So that was, pretty easy to rule that one out as being a good alignment. But we needed to kind of explore the other alignment as well. So part of our pre-construction activities, we talked about getting out and doing, the geotechnical explorations, doing those borings, understanding what the subsurface conditions are on the out in the river there. And so as we started to get that data in, that data helped to inform us about alignment information. And so selecting the alignment that shifted things a little bit, that was just the most economical option.
And that was like a couple 100 feet?
Yeah, I think just over 250, 250. So if you laid them side by side, it's going to be, a noticeable shift. But at the end of the day, unless you're really keen on it, you may not really detect that much at all. So,
especially since the original bridge had that kind of an S curve on the western end, right? So
yeah. So we just exaggerated that curve a little bit longer. The good part about this shift is that the key piece of our design is that main span. So that cable stayed portion, that completely stayed the same no matter which alignment we're in. All those dimensions, the same. Our foundation design, we can economize it a little bit based on where we are. We can make some reductions in some of our piles. So that's advantageous for us. And then, we can adjust the approach work, the approach spans, which are easier, sort of normal bridge construction. And so we can make those adjustments with that new alignment pretty easily. So that gets us, on the alignment issue. In terms of the kind of progressing design through these percentages, these percentages are normal milestones that we use throughout a project. So you kind of get that design concept at around 15% design, we call it, and then we advance to a 30 and a 50. So we've had a 50 and then the 70% that we're aiming for by the end of the year. Really, that enables the contractor and design team to really start to develop the details on connections, that they have to make in, the main structural components. It really starts to allow us to dig into the details as opposed to understanding, hey, we need a pylon or a main tower height of this magnitude in order to have a span that's this wide. And those things were what we accomplished early on because, we wanted to make the safest bridge possible. We're trying, obviously taking into account vessel collision. We're accounting for future, vessels at the port. So we have a certain height that we have to reach. So all these things kind of work together to say, okay, we're setting these dimensions. Now that you've set the dimensions and you've got an understanding of, hey, this works from a wind perspective. It's stable. We've got a scour analysis that says, we're going to be good with the type of pylon, foundations that we have. All those things start to come together, and then now you dig into the details, and the designers really start to get into these details regarding the components of the bridge, how they come together, but importantly, sort of their impact on the cost and the schedule of these things that enable us to put this big picture together and really flush that out. So that's the purpose of the 70%, to really get to the point where we've solidified as many loose ends as we can without affecting, kind of schedule, and still taking advantage of that design build delivery.
Okay. Now, has the final contract been awarded for Kiewit as the builder? That hasn't been done yet.
No. So the beauty of this progressive design build delivery model is that we contracted with Kiewit and their team for what we were calling phase one. So phase one, again, planning efforts, these pre-construction efforts, their initial design. So that part all goes together. Now, in order to kind of advance things as fast as we can, we've issued a couple of early work packages, which include this demolition. It includes buying some of these long lead items like materials for production pile. It involves, the test pile program that we have coming up.
Right.
And so these long lead items, these early work packages, are an advantage of this progressive design build model that we're utilizing. So in this progressive design build model, once you reach the point of design where you have a good basis for cost estimation, that's when you will try to enter into an agreement, and we call that phase two. So phase two will be construction in earnest. That would give them the rest of the design, so 70 to 100%, plus getting out and constructing and delivering the whole bridge.
Yeah. Do you have an idea of when that might be awarded, or is it too early to even take a reasonable guess at that?
Yeah, so we're targeting before the end of the year for the 70%. Then there's a period of just having to estimate that, this very, huge project. Now, again, there's other activities ongoing while that happens, right? So we have demolition underway. We're going to be looking to advance some other early work packages. So we're not, there will be action out on the site while these design efforts and these negotiation efforts are underway as well.
So they're starting with the Western approach, is that right? And then they're going to do them one side at a time. Is that accurate?
A little bit. We sort of refer to it north and south. So
yeah,
on the south approach, that's where the contractor elected to begin. So they started the week of July 7th, got out there and started removing some of that median barrier that ran down the center of the bridge. So they're working away at that, making really good progress, kind of breaking that down into smaller chunks. Those chunks will get moved to the end of the bridge where the abutment was or is.
And does that just make it easier for them to just run the equipment up on the bridge without having a barrier in the middle? Is that basically the premise of that?
Yeah, the way that they're going to saw cut the deck panels,
right,
and then the machine that they have to kind of lift these saw cut pieces, these smaller pieces of these deck panels. You have to have that median barrier out of the way for this thing to be able to kind of grab onto the deck. So getting that out of the way was kind of key to being able to allow the machine to reach under and grab the deck panel and lift it out of place. So
it almost sounds like a can opener concept.
A little bit. I think, they'll just kind of be picking from the end and start working down, the bridge. And so you'll start to slowly see that pull back, and the steel will still be there. The steel girders will still be there, but the concrete deck will be gone and the bridge barriers will be gone.
Right. So I don't have a whole lot of bridge construction experience. I just know what I see when I drive by and I see the new one next to me, right? So it looks like the long I beams and then like a corrugated metal that's like welded to it, and then the concrete goes on top of that. Is it that simple, or is it not?
Yeah, you can break it down to
Basically,
that. It's
okay,
essentially when they put those girders in place, they if you see sort of that corrugated metal that you were referring to, we call
mm-hmm,
those stay in place forms.
mm-hmm,
So essentially, you lay that across the girders, and then you are able to set your rebar, and then pour that concrete, and that obviously holds the bottom of the concrete in place. So that makes the bottom of your slab. And so, yeah, they'll be able to pull that off and break
so when they
away.
pull that off, they're going to be taking that metal off the bottom with it. The
Yeah,
concrete isn't going to come off the metal.
those stay in place forms will
Mm-hmm.
come up, but you will be left with your girders.
Right.
Your line of girders will all still be there.
Right. Yeah, because we did look at the first document that the MD Maryland Department of Environment put out on their website way long ago with the red lines and showing how they were gonna, like do between two girders at once and just go down to the next set and go down to the next set. Is that
Yeah.
still kind of the plan?
Yeah, I think obviously when we were working on those permits, we were working on our own to advance those permits before we came on board with the contractor. So again,
Certainly.
another benefit of this progressive design build is that we had to make assumptions, including demo. So we
Sure.
were making assumptions on demo, and of course, when you're permitting, you really want to say, well, what's our maximum impact, and see if we can mitigate that maximum impact. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully the goal is when you bring a contractor on that you have way less impact than that you've already planned to mitigate for. So we were
Mm-hmm.
able to do that. The contractor had their own um, means and methods to do this demolition. So that's sort of
Mm-hmm.
what in our minds we were like, okay, we'll get out and do demolition early, and we'll be able to advance that and have that work. So we need to get these permits early so that they're ready for when the contractor's on board. Well, in speaking with the contractor and their means and methods, it became clear the equipment that they want to use, it didn't make sense for us from a budget standpoint, and there was no advantage from a schedule standpoint to advance that work early. So that's why that
Right.
schedule on demolition slipped. And so the initial demolition estimate was from MDTA. And once we had our contractor on board, they're like, well, you know, we have to bring equipment out to the site. When we bring equipment out, MDTA is going to have to pay for that. You pay for the mobilization of that equipment. If that equipment is used and then sits there, you're paying for it. And so
Right.
it was more economical to bring it out at now because we can use it for demolition. But then some of that can also transition into additional future work. So work that's there. So we'll be using the equipment that's on site rather than mobilizing it and either paying for it to sit
Twice.
idle
Right.
or demobbing and remobbing. So that was kind of what led into that change in the demolition schedule was input from our contractor. But that's the
Right.
purpose of design build is the agency is going to make some assumptions. We're going to permit things, and then hopefully our impacts get smaller and our schedules get smarter. And so that's what we think happened there.
Cool.
And so all that to say, the way that we're going about demolition is we have this initial package that we've put together. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
remove those concrete decks. It's going to remove portions of the bridge that are over the causeways or land.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we will have additional phases of demolition. Now, the phase that we're undertaking now is critical for the path to continue construction and meet schedule. But some of that stuff in the marine side, some of the steel that we'll be exposing, those steel girders, those marine piers, they're
Mm-hmm.
not really on the critical path. So it's going to be one of
Mm-hmm.
those, where does it make sense for the contractor to work on those, with, again, considering equipment and other critical path schedule items, where do we get in that work? When does it make sense to do that? So it may not be immediate. You may see those pier remnants up and the steel up for a little bit longer. It's not part of the initial package, and we're still working on the contractor of when do we work on getting the rest of that out of the way.
So if I may, could we simplify it that it's just the roadway, just the concrete on top of the girders for now?
For now,
Okay.
the
Because you know how people think, people are,
right.
waiting almost with bated breath. And Kipp and I have it bad. So every time Jim speaks, we're like, what did he say today? What's going on? What's happening? And when you hear something, I think people tend to think in absolutes. Oh, they're going to demo the bridge. Well, they were supposed to be finished on July. No, they started on July 7th. And so people have this concept now that, oh, you guys are the whole thing's just going to be gone in 9 months. And so that's not exactly it.
Not exactly.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So the scope on this one is, as you kind of said, that bridge deck, but we will be taking those piers that were kind of on land. So we'll be taking those out.
Okay.
So those will go. So you will see a couple of piers that remain in the water with their, the steel above them. And as you were kind of talking about earlier, we're going to start on that south side, get underway, then move to the north side, kind of repeat the same process on that side as well.
I think one of the things that I picked up on was that you're using some economies of scale or operational decisions in order to minimize the cost. And Mike's talking a little bit about general public sentiment and hurry up. I need to get to work faster, that kind of stuff. Why is it taking so long? Why it should have already been down? But no, we're not going and throwing sticks of dynamite on the thing. That's not stop. I think it's important for everybody to understand. Hey, look, there are a lot of moving parts here. Pieces that have to be figured out. The point that you said, hey, the Nice Bridge was a planned event. We weren't planning to rebuild this thing. At least in the short term, we have to start 100% from scratch. And the fact that you're able to go and put everything together that you have in the short period of time is just blows my mind. But you're also trying to address the costs associated with it, and that you're implementing construction practices and utilizing the equipment when you have it at the lower or cheapest price. I mean, those are the things that you guys are having to deal with on a daily basis and making these decisions. And it's not just, hey, go get a backhoe and just start going and digging the thing up. It's not like that.
Yeah, you made a couple of great points there, and one of them being just that idea. We're trying to do the best we can with cost at every single turn and on every single part of this project, and we want it to be the best stewards of the dollars that we have committed to this project, and so we're going to take those deep looks at every approach on this.
Another pun.
Right. The idea that we could have certainly told the contractor, go ahead out and demo. We'll just eat those costs, but just it doesn't make sense. We don't like to operate that way. We definitely always want to be the best stewards of the dollars that we have, whether it's toll dollars, whether it's federal dollars. We're always looking to do the best we can and make those dollars go as far as they can. And so, we worked with the contractor. We saw early on the items that they needed to tackle first were those pre-construction items. Right. They needed to get out there. They needed to do that exploration, get that data in so that they could inform design, which ultimately leads to delivering the project as soon as we can. Mm-hmm. The demolition could happen later without affecting that delivery. So those were the decisions we made in order to, do the best we can for cost and schedule.
Right. And I think the public it's just, I've learned so much. And every time there's a new date or, start time or something of, or this permit has been done, or we have this permission, or this contract has been awarded. And I think folks tend, like I said, tend to think in absolutes, and then, well, you find out, well, it really didn't work like you think. Well, how does it work? And like I have a casual friend who's an engineer now. He doesn't claim to know all this stuff, but he does tend to share some stuff that he might know. And like one of the things that remember when Kipp and I, when we first looked at the Maryland Department of Environment, those demo diagrams, and he's like, whoa, wait a minute. This isn't how they're going to do it. I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's all here in black and white and red. What do you mean it's not? What are you saying? What do you mean that it's not how they're going to do it? He said, no, this is a representation of what they think, that because they had to come up with a reasonable plan for a permit. And I was like, oh, which is what you said 10 minutes ago, right? But it is fascinating to learn so much. And let me tell you this quick story. So, we saw a crane out there, a couple of months ago, and they're vibrating these piles in. And I said, oh, I don't know if you know, I'm right here on Stony Creek, so I'm just south of the bridge. I'm taking my boat out there. I'm going out there. And so I go out there. Of course, it's not work time. It's 6, 7 o'clock at night. Okay, so I'm putting this on record. I go out there and I put my boat right up next to that pile. And so it's got like chalk marks on it. Probably not chalk, but and it said 90 feet at the water line. And so I put my boat right up next to the piling and look at my depth on my GPS, and it said 15 feet. And I was just blown away that I was sitting next to something that was 75 feet into the mud. So really helps give you a visual of the enormity and the depths that go into a project of this magnitude.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on one of our, the key challenges for this project.
No pun. Now cut that out.
So,
sorry.
So the geotechnical piece of this, building such a large bridge in this river with that subsurface condition, so that muck that you described, it's a very, very challenging condition there.
Interesting.
It basically provides no structural capacity for us, but it is very deep, up to 90 feet at some of the areas.
Wow.
And then so you're driving, or you don't even really need to drive because the pile just kind of falls through that stuff, and so it doesn't provide you with any kind of capacity for bearing capacity for the weight of the bridge, or horizontal capacity for kind of
structural
any kind of your vessel impact stuff that we have to worry about. So you're really getting through that layer, and then there's a very good solid layer beneath that, what we call the Patapsco layer. And so we'll be driving the pile into that layer in order to get all our structural capacity that we need for our foundations. So those piles that we'll be bringing out for the test pile program at the end of August into early September, those piles, they're going to be large. They're 8 feet in diameter. Steel pipe.
Now, did you listen to the podcast where Idiot Mike here was like, I don't understand. Can't they just go grab some stuff from a warehouse somewhere? I don't understand why they have to order this.
I did hear that. And
okay. And you didn't call me out on it. I appreciate it. You can now.
It is a significant pipe section, right? 8 feet in diameter.
Right. And I did see the photos of
right.
I guess like the rolled welded seam, and I was like,
that's right.
Oh.
Yeah, they roll this 2-inch plate. Wow. And then they curl it, roll it up, and then they and they have to weld it, and then we'll be welding sections together to get those depths that we need, right? So we're going to need those to come all the way up to the surface so that we can make our pile cap. But we got to get enough depth into that layer that we get those support we need.
Jim, let me ask you this. So they're out there and they're doing one approach, and then they're going to, as the flow goes forward and things are determined for demo or building, do you think, there will be activity from here on out? Do we anticipate some other breaks?
Yeah, I think you can count on there being activity at the site from here on out. So
okay. Oh, wow.
We're going to roll. I mean, there's, in addition to this test pile program, which will last for a few weeks, probably into early October, that activity will be doing additional geotechnical borings. So the work that we performed in February, March, we'll be collecting more information.
Now, is that because of the alignment? You have to kind of redo it?
It's just we did initial borings to get as much data in as quickly as we could. So, we like to have a certain amount of data for each of the foundations for this bridge, and we have something like 42 piers that we're going to be building, right? So that's a lot of data that we need to collect. So we collected the most important data first to get that in, so it can inform our design. And
now, would those be the tallest piers towards the center?
Definitely the tallest. We needed information for our vessel protection system, which is a rigid fender system, which is also using piles. So we needed that. So we needed to get the data there, and at each of the additional locations. So we needed to. This is sort of like a second phase of geotechnical. So we'll be doing that as well. So you'll see that on the water, though that'll be out on the land again, collecting data in those locations. It's the same locations, just additional data. We need a certain amount of data per each location for standards. So you'll be seeing that. Then we have to build a trestle, which is a temporary structure, from which they can work. So that will be coming in the next few months as well.
Like all the way out to where the cement trucks can drive out for the pours for the main tower.
I mean, that's part of it. So we can work
and everything else.
Form work when you have it, handling form work, because we're going to be using jumping forms. So like the form that you use here, you pour it, it goes up. Climbing forms. The trestle will support the cranes for driving pile. And so, there's multiple uses for this trestle. So that will happen as well. We have to build that out there as well. So you'll see activity on that. And plus, we want to get driving, permanent pile as well, with the goal of having that underway before the end of the year. So from here on out, there should be activity out there on site.
Well, very cool.
With all this activity that people are going to start seeing, some people may be saying, well, are there jobs oriented with that, or how might I be, can I be part of the employment team in whatever capacity? Do you have any sense as to where somebody might be able to go, and if they've got certain skill sets, or they want to get trained up to go, go rebuild the bridge?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely, it's going to take a large force to build this bridge. And so our contractor, potential contractor, Kiewit, is, certainly looking to bring folks on board. And of course, they are working with our local unions. So our carpenters union, operators union, iron workers, laborers, all good spots for somebody to check out if they're interested in participating in that role on this project. Now, in addition to that, we have, of course, subcontractors that Kiewit would need to team with. So subcontractors, they can email rebuildkeybridge@kiewit.com to get information about that. Kiewit also lists their subcontracting solicitations publicly using something called buildingconnected.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that service, sort of provides you notifications of all their subcontracting opportunities that they're actively pursuing in advance, so you can get ready for that opportunity. So those are a couple of ways that people can engage with this project.
Great. We'll put those links and email addresses up so that everybody can get a chance to take a look at that. So.
Certainly, yeah. So we're running out of time here, but Jim, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on. I'm always fascinated with, when we work to get information or get people on the podcast, and how long it takes to make it actually happen, right? So if I could think back to when I saw you on TV the first time, I'm like, I'm going to go find this guy's email. Right? Like, how long has it been since that very first time we contacted each other? But thank you so much for coming on and giving some folks some real background to what makes this thing happen, why it happens at the speed, what you're thinking of, what all goes into all those thoughts and decisions that folks really just don't know. So really appreciate you coming on today.
Absolutely. Thank you. And maybe around the 70% mark, we can have you come back on and kind of give us an update of where we're at so far.
Yeah, I'd really like that. I mean,
I like the way this guy thinks.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. Was fun to chat with you guys, get answers to your questions, and we're always looking for opportunities to share information on our project. We're out in the communities. We're meeting with community groups, sharing our information, giving them updates. So we're always looking to engage and be open and transparent and share our progress.
And most importantly, you're part of the all blue polo team now. So.
That's right.
All right, Jim. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
Just the amount of information, some of the details that he was providing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I'm getting a little frustrated by hearing some of the general comments and general sentiment about the bridge. I want the thing built back just as fast as everybody else does, if not faster. But this thing is a massive project. They weren't planning on replacing it in the short term.
And that's obvious, right? Obviously, it's obvious, and that sounds stupid. But I mean, you really didn't think about the weight of that and the planning of that. Like, okay, so normally, you plan something for years, and they design it and they order it and everything's all planned, and then you start it, right? And so,
right.
And obviously we know it wasn't planned, but when you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, this is a completely different process. And so I don't know if I told you about this. Like one day, one of my friends made some comment, and I said, well, I can give you some information if you like. And he said, please do. So I wrote down, just off the top of my head, everything that I knew. And on Facebook, it's like this long.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like 25, 30, 40 lines of stuff. Just me rambling, right? And he said, oh, well, that certainly changes my perspective a little bit. So Sometimes when I'm feeling a little froggy and I see somebody complaining, I go back to that post, cut and paste, and just start dropping it on everybody. Because
right.
The complaints, and sometimes it's just like, well, here's maybe 50% of what you didn't know, and this is only stuff that little Mike knows,
Right.
I mean, there's so much more than, so I'm with you. Sometimes it gets frustrating.
And I understand the frustration, and again, I'm not a bridge person. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a construction. I'm not involved in the process whatsoever.
Right.
But I also recognize that there's probably a lot more transactions, things that have to be decided upon, issues that have to be addressed, more so than what I fully understand about bridge construction. And I
Right.
think, Jim really kind of, laid all of that out to say, hey, look, they're constantly moving, trying to address all of those questions and problems and issues and those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult to do in kind of a fast-paced solution like what they're trying to put together versus something that's planned out and everything is methodical.
Right, like on the fly design analysis, right? I mean, you just, and how much discussion goes into how fast you can get things done,
Right.
or what order you do them in.
Correct.
Right? I mean, okay, you have a meeting at work with 10 people. How fast do you make those decisions? Right? Now imagine you're talking about $2 billion and 2 miles of bridge that are, right? It's a wonder they were able to make a decision, much less hundreds of decisions.
And even through the process, I mean, he was talking about all of the pile testing and the makeup of the mud that they're having to drill into. We also have to understand that as they're doing these tests, they may find that there's an issue or a problem that prevents them from putting up piling in that one particular location, and they have to go back and redesign that particular space. So not everything is just going to be a cut and dry check off the box. Oh, okay, let's just start throwing it and just start building it.
Right.
There's a good bit of work that goes into it, and I appreciate him spending that time to explain all of that.
Yeah, that was, and I mean, did you know we were gonna talk for that long?
No.
So the fact that he stuck with us that long was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I do appreciate him spending that time and working with us trying to get that recorded.
Now, since you brought up the subsurface stuff, did you see in that one post on Facebook where, but on the wall behind them, they had like the cutaway view of the whole bottom? I'm like, dude, we got to get that PDF so we can have it on here. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would.
We could find a way to zoom in and then have it like scroll. I don't know where your computer or this software prowess is, but man, if we could do that, that would be amazing.
Let's see if we can come across that then.
Yeah,
that was really neat.
Yeah.
The Key Bridge Rebuild group has a Facebook page. They've been posting information as they are progressing through the current steps. They did post some pictures of them starting the work.
So obviously we're watching this on the camera, but you really can't see over the side of the bridge. You just see the thing like taking bites, and you really don't know what it's taking a bite of. But right here, you can see the central median that they're pulling out. So that's pretty interesting. Now, you know what speaks to me about this picture? Look at the Jersey wall on the side, and they had to add that wooden safety rail. Now, imagine how long that took. Because you got somebody's cutting up a little piece. I mean, it's just another thing, right? It's just another thing, right? Somebody was losing their mind. This was supposed to be done on July 7th. No, you silly person. It was supposed to start on July 7th, right? Okay, so now you're up there with all these little pieces of wood. You're drilling into concrete. I mean, you imagine how long it took them to put that railing up?
Where did they go buy the wood, and how much wood did they have to place in that order in order to be able to do that?
How much wood would a construction guy No, okay.
I didn't pick up on that until
I just noticed it today.
Yeah.
And obviously there were railings there. Just recently they took down, the wording I heard from one of the camera ops was that they took these shears over and snapped the light poles off.
Okay.
There was no unbolting. They just took the
Well, I
sheet,
mean,
snapped them off.
there's no electricity running to them. I don't think at this point. You just rip them off. Sure.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna make it easier for them to get equipment up and down, and then supposedly today, because we saw some stuff fall off on camera.
Okay.
And there was like another like end effector, I guess, on this piece of equipment, and
Okay.
they were starting to try to pull the road deck
Oh,
off.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's what it looked like from 3 miles away, but
Right. Right. Yeah. So that.
I mean, you're
So they.
seeing more than you wouldn't be seeing if the camera wasn't there, but still you're
Correct.
3 miles away, so sometimes it's a little hard to discern exactly what's going on.
Yeah, to see some very specific Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So these were some other pictures that they posted up.
Yeah. So this from the Facebook post. Piece by piece, these steel piles are being assembled, fabrication of the steel piles for the new key bridge are underway. So this is a little deviation from what I thought these were the test piles. This doesn't use the word test. So are the test piles and the what's the word, production piles, are they the same? We didn't get into that. We didn't talk about that, but that is interesting. So each one will be 8 feet in diameter and as long as 220 feet. Man, about the same height as Baltimore's iconic shot tower. Built in sections and welded together, these piles will be set vertically and then driven deep into the Patapsco riverbed that form the bridge's foundation. And when I first think about something round, my construction technique prowess is 1 out of 10, I guess, because I wasn't thinking about them taking straight sheets, rolling it, welding it, do another one, then weld those two together to make one long tube or pipe. So it's interesting. I'm sure that's the most efficient way to do it.
Sure.
But it is really cool to see that happening. So at least, we have them showing us that it's happening, and so we're getting live updates.
Right.
Pretty much. So it's a lot better than not knowing or being in the dark.
Right. No, I do appreciate the transparency on that. And I know that there are some things that they just can't talk about at certain times.
Oh, that's
but to have this level of information in it and imagery is great.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, the MDTA.
Speaking of information that you might want, right?
So the MDTA, who's the in charge of the bridge rebuild, is going to have 2 meetings coming up. One at Glen Burnie MVA and another one at Anne Arundel County River Days, and there are the addresses. So you can go out on July 24th or July 26th during those times on the screen, either 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on July 24th or 11 to 3 July 26th. And they're going to have their bridge construction team there to answer any questions and to get project updates. Now, I attended one of these about 6 months ago when they were talking about the environmental study aspects of everything. And they came out to our CCBC Dundalk campus as one of their stops. And I walked over and chatted with them for a little bit. And they have lots of poster pictures and information that you can take with you. And so, at that point, again, it was around the environmental
You grab one
studies.
of the giant posters on an easel and just, if you can, manage to carry that thing out and put it in your pickup truck, they'll let you have it. Is that what you're talking about?
I don't think they'll let you have it, but they did have some of those cross-section schematics. I wonder if they'll have the sediment schematic that we were just talking
Yeah,
about. But
that's
if
the
you're in,
reason why I would want to go to one of those. You know,
oh,
to be able to walk up to the graphics and see them, whatever, three
yeah,
by six or 3x4 or whatever, and not just some little PDF on your laptop or
right,
whatever.
right, right.
I think that would be really cool to see.
So if you're interested in getting more information about the bridge and the rebuild process, the MDTA actually has a couple of information sessions for the general public for you to come out and actually learn about what's going on and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they've done this at various points throughout the rebuild process. I know they came out to CCBC's Dundalk campus during the environmental um, processes that they were going through and had these same kind of information sessions. And they had some handouts and flyers and these big charts with pictures
Mm-hmm.
and all of the representatives are there can answer questions for you. So if you have questions, if you're out there in social media and you're posting the questions, why is this taking so long? Why aren't they doing things? This is the opportunity for you to go and ask those questions and get those answers.
Awesome.
They've published 2 sessions for Anne Arundel County
Mm-hmm.
on July the 24th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Glen Burnie MVA. The
Mm-hmm.
team will be there to go and present and you can ask questions. And then also on July the 26th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Anne Arundel County River Days. There's the address. You can go there also. So if you're interested in learning about this will be a great opportunity for you to go and talk with the team to learn about what's happening, what's coming up next, why does it seem like it's taking so long, and all of those kinds of questions that you may be pondering.
Right, right. And I like it, especially. I mean, I don't know what their setup is going to be at, because I imagine that's Quiet Waters Park. It
Mm,
might be outside, or maybe they're in a pavilion. I don't know,
sure.
but I haven't been down there a whole lot, so I'm trying to picture. There might be a building there where they can do that. Anyway, but especially at the MBA, they probably have these easels with these big posters, and so some of the stuff that you see that you might see like diagrams on Facebook or whatever,
Yeah.
or on the website, will be these big giant 3 or 4 foot tall and 5 and 6 feet wide giant things that you can walk up to and really look at,
Right.
a lot better than you can on your little laptop or your tablet or something. So I think that's kind of a treat to be able to see the graphics like
Oh yes.
large and right in front of you. So that'd be a cool addition to just being able to ask some folks some questions,
Right.
which is nice too because then you'll get direct answers. Um, instead of just reading things off of a website or a Facebook
Right.
post. You get some real engagement with folks. So
Yeah. So I appreciate them. One, I appreciate the fact that they're documenting and you're starting to see some of the pictures of the processes that are going through, but they're also being
mm-hmm.
transparent and having these information sessions so that the
Right,
general
right.
public can learn about what's going on and fully understand what the process is.
Yep.
Uh, Also, I know that people have been interested about the bridge construction and how long it might take or where are we at in the process. But I've
Mm-hmm.
also heard some comments or questions about, well, can I get a job as part of the rebuild? So the Baltimore County Department of Economic and Workforce Development posted an announcement on social media that if you are interested in working either on the Francis Scott Key Bridge or the Frederick Douglass Tunnel project, which is about to
Mm-hmm.
ramp up,
Mm-hmm.
all of the local unions are now ramping up their training and hiring processes to meet the labor demand. And so, if you're interested in working on the bridge or working in the tunnel as part of those construction projects, there is a meeting August the 7th, which is a Thursday, um, Actually, I believe that it's going to be an open house from 9:30 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. to learn about what
That's
jobs
great. All
exist.
day.
Yeah, all day.
All day.
What jobs exist and how you might be able to participate in that. And you can speak with each one of the union representatives that will be there. I'm sure that there's going to be electrical, the iron workers.
Right.
I know the operating
Carpentry.
engineers will have representation there. So there's,
Right.
you can, if you're interested in being part of a once in a lifetime opportunity, go down. Let's go down to this meeting and talk with the union representatives and learn about what's going to be involved and what training you may need to go through, and what job opportunities may exist for
Right.
that.
Because think about that. Like I said to Jim, you know, you are, you have it. It's great to have a job and be paid really nice wages, right?
Sure.
And it's fun to work on something big. But when you think of the enormity of it, in not just the size or length of the bridge, but you can tell your kids and your grandkids and your family members for decades, generations, that you helped build this bridge. It's going to be around for 100 years. That's pretty amazing. And then when you think about the Frederick Douglass Tunnel project, I think the tunnel that's there is over 100 years old, right? So you're talking about, a big improvement to, the throughput of high-speed rail through Baltimore.
Right.
So really, chance to work on two once-in-a-lifetime projects. So
Absolutely.
really cool opportunity.
So this is really neat. I know people have been asking about this, and now's the time. Now is your chance to go in and look at what opportunities exist and where you might be able to take advantage of those and help reshape the landscape of the city.
Yep, very cool.
So that was those were all some what I thought was good information around the Key Bridge rebuild process, and coming out right at the same time that we had the interview with Jim Harkness. So
yep, very cool.
All right, moving on from the Key Bridge, we do have a couple of upcoming events. The first one, Maritime History Day, has been deemed by the John W. Brown and the nuclear ship Savannah. And so they're going to have ship tours coming up on August the 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There is some registrations required for this. If you want to go on the Savannah, the reactor containment unit will be open for you to walk through. They have a walking tour for that.
Right, and that's not always open.
Correct.
Because there have been additional efforts over the last year. Like, I don't know, 2 years ago, the only time you're going to visit the Savannah is on Maritime Day.
Right.
And that's it. And so over the last year or so, they've really made an effort to up the ability to come visit the Savannah, and they have them maybe once a month, maybe once every other month.
Right.
And I don't think that the reactor containment is necessarily open for all those. So here's another opportunity. And I'm just going to go into my normal spiel. The Savannah isn't guaranteed to be here forever. Right. I think people are working on opportunities to keep her in Baltimore, but we don't have anything concrete yet.
Correct.
So typically these opportunities don't come along often, and it's a fascinating piece of history. I like to say it's a combination between Art Deco of Miami and the Jetsons, because It kind of looks futuristic, but it also looks like it's in the 50s. It's this
Right. Yeah.
wild combination. And so to be able to walk into the lobby and walk into, the mess where, people were eating, and walk through the whole ship and tour it. And then there's the John Brown, who out of 2,700 ships, 2,700 ships that they built to supply Europe with troops and other supplies, two still run off the original engine. One here and one in San Francisco.
That's right.
Out of 2,700. Okay. And this one was built here in Baltimore. So this sounds silly, but a lot of people probably forgot about World War II. It's so long ago. So you're talking about a piece of machinery and a ship that still runs on the original engine that's over 80 years old, right? So a fascinating piece of history. You walk out on that pier and you see the big giant container ships next door, and then you're looking at these guys, but still to be able to walk in and see how big a hold is,
Right.
even on a small ship like that, being able to walk down the stairs, and they both have some cool gift shops and stuff. There's some really cool things to see. It really is quite the experience, so check it out.
Absolutely. So if you're interested, if you want to go on the Savannah tours, you do have to register for those.
Thank you.
The John Brown, this is a fundraiser for them, so you can see the pricing for the various different tours that they have. So, but go out to Pier 13 in Canton on August the 23rd, and you'll have a great time. I promise you on that one.
Cool.
Also,
good.
For our Port of Baltimore history segment, that we're going to go back to 2016. So July 19th, 2016, the Port of Baltimore welcomed the first ever mega container ship to arrive at its docks through the newly expanded Panama Canal, marking what officials call a new era for the Port of Baltimore. The Ever Lambent, which is one of the evergreen ships. It was a 1,095 foot cargo ship that carries more than 4,200 40-foot shipping containers, arrived in Baltimore. So this is 2016. This is the first post-Panamax ship that transiented the new Panama Canal that had just opened at the time. And in that voyage, Port of Baltimore was one of its ports of call.
So is this 4,200 TEUs or 8,400 TEUs?
I think it's 80. I think it's going to be 8,400 TEUs.
Oh, okay.
So TEUs, a 20-foot equivalent.
Yes, yeah.
4,200 40-foot containers would be 8,400 TEU. Correct.
Yeah, and so even today we still have like 4,200 TEU ships that come here. We have some smaller ones that show up and make lesser deliver less containers. But we still got some monsters that come in. So what I'm still trying to verify are the Zim Mount class, which are supposedly 15,000 TEU. Right. But in some places it says 15.5, which would be a record for the Port of Baltimore.
Right.
But when the Port of Baltimore did a Facebook post about it a week and a half ago, they did not mention that it was a record. So I think maybe they're still trying to verify it also. But this is a really cool snapshot in time of the first ship that transitioned to new wider locks at the Panama Canal. Very cool.
Yeah, so they had a big celebration that day for it. So, all right, and that's That's all I have from the history nugget side.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. So, as we always talk about in closing, we are Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. We're all over the place on social media. We're on Twitch. Shout out Amy Lawrence, Instagram, Reddit, Threads, and there's probably one or two that I'm not thinking about. We have a website that even local maritime industry uses with a lot of information. We have links to both cameras. Now, one camera is set up to look at mainly bridge demo, and then the other camera, the 4K camera, still follows the ships and then looks at bridge demo when there's no movement at the port at the time. And those are labeled that way on the website now, so you're not confused. But lots of information on there. There's ship schedules, port maps, so you know where the channels are, and link to the Keybridge website is right on the cover homepage. Our Patreon fundraising page, there's a link on there for that. So there's a lot to look at and check out. We even have some shirts for sale, coffee cups, glasses, some cool hats, all kinds of stuff.
Nice. And if you want to, and also if you want to listen to the audio version of this podcast, you can pick it up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Sounds good.
All right. So that was a really big episode. We'll get back in next episode. We'll get back into some more Port of Baltimore news related things. But I thought we thought this was a pretty important episode for everybody to really pay attention to.
Yeah, so maybe we can get Jim back for 75%.
Yes, we chatted about that. Hopefully,
we almost had him agreeing to that.
Yeah.
But did do it. So that would be awesome.
All right, let's go ahead and count it down. 3, 2, 1. Happy ship watching.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.